Yeah, so the error rate that they give you, they may not be necessarily the one that they have publicized, right? But that's kind of what the best way I would say, just test it. And in application development, if you're looking to develop an application, you have to have your own numbers to rely on.
Yeah, and I would say, David, you're probably in the minority as far as the number of people that have actually run on quantum hardware. Can you talk a little bit? So how did you get into actually doing the experiments on computers?
You mean quantum computing?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah. So I've been for my education, my PhD was in quantum computing, and that's how I kind of started really doing it. But this was, many years ago, and nowhere close to where it is today. The quantum computing labs. You actually there was one lab that we could use, and you actually had to run the thing at like low temperature, everything that you're getting right now. I know what's behind it and really appreciate what they're doing. Actually, yeah, this was, so I studied in Basel, and in Basel, we actually didn't have our own cryostat. In Switzerland, there is one cryostat that's used that you can essentially use to do some testing, but that's, well, we've come a long way. So when you see right now that some of the companies providing something like this is really impressive what they do. And UCLA has a good kind of quantum program, but not as good as MIT, I would say. If somebody is really looking to really learn this, especially if your employer is paying for it, the MIT's online program is very good. It's expensive. It's like, I think, $5,000-6,000. It's not a normal thing that you do. But those are the kind of things like that. So that's how I kind of came across this. But over the years, obviously project, with customers, I think I did a lot when I joined Oracle. I did a lot of high performance computing in general, cloud. And with Accenture, of course, I was in the Accenture technology arm, and just literally now you're bringing my background.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about this? I'm a huge tennis fan. We have a thing called Barnes Youth Tennis Center. So if there's a tie between a youth and an adult, it goes to the youth. Can you talk a little bit about how tennis has had an impact on you as far as teamwork, kind of like work ethic too? This is a big deal.
Yeah, no, I mean, tennis is really, even today, is a big part of my life. And definitely, I think when I started playing tennis as a child, but I never really got into it. And 2009, I lived in New York City, and I went to US Open, kind of watch, and I'm like, wow, this is so awesome. I want to get back to it. And so I started playing a little bit, but then just playing tennis in New York City is very difficult. Then I relocated to Southern California. I was living in Santa Monica. And I really got into tennis, and I was going to Orange County, which is not far from you, some of the clubs out there, really every weekend, spending, my time playing tennis. But really, it really changes just the mindset of maintaining your posture, your mind, your body for a long time. When you're playing against someone, 2.5 hours in the heat, in the sun, and you have to constantly, the goal of tennis, something that most tennis players don't know is, they say, I think 89% of the points in tennis are lost, are not won, which is very interesting, which means you have to be more consistent than your opponent to win. Yeah. And that just means to maintain your thoughts, control your thoughts. And really, I think it had when I really got into it, in SoCal, really changed my mind. And when I moved to Texas is really big, especially Dallas, in tennis. And I started really playing more competitively in North Texas. For some time, actually, I ranked 9 in North Texas category, which was very exciting for me.